Hiya, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to do a relatively short video just with a few techniques. We're going to be using the Sentimentally Yours Radiant Lustre pigment powders that were launched last weekend, so at the end of February. And I'm going to do a few techniques that we didn't get a chance to do when they were on Create and Craft. So to start with, I'm going to be using the texture medium, and I've got underneath here I've got a piece of the new black watercolor card from Sentimentally Yours, and this stencil is the one from the compendium box kit #1. All the products that I'm using are available on my website juliawattscrafts.co.uk for shipping to UK addresses, and they're also available on Honeypot Crafts as well. So I'm just going to pop some of this texture paste through the stencil. So this texture medium it goes on white and it dries clear, and we're going to be doing some resist style techniques with the powders, and obviously this would need to be dry. I've got one that's dry already. Try and do it nice and smoothly. I'm trying not to overwork it so it doesn't go under the stencil. This is the end of my first part, so I've done pretty well. I did all my samples for the shows and the 3 shows that I did on TV out of the one pot. I mean, I have got quite a few samples that I've done, so yeah, I think it's lasted pretty well actually. 100 mils. Or is it 100? Yes, 100 mils. You know, when you say things and then immediately you think, oh, is that right? I'm trying not to get too much texture on the butterflies. To be honest, it doesn't matter for what I'm going to do next. So let's make sure we get all that excess and pop it back in the pot. A little tip is to actually clean the rim of your pot, which I obviously don't do, but you should do, because this is like a 3D gel, I suppose, so you can use it as a glue as well, so it is gonna dry, and so if you don't clean around the top, your lid will dry and set on there, and that's not what you want. The number of texture paste I've had to throw away because I haven't done what I tell you to. So just wipe around the edge, and we can pop that away. Then we want to take away our tape. Obviously you can't use this tape again once it's all mucked up. You can't use it again. It says to my bin, but it does save a little bit of cleaning up time. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but the watercolor card is quite porous, so it does actually pull away a little bit on the tape. So you need to bear that in mind if you are actually die cutting, that you put your tape on the outside of your die rather than on the inside. You put it where the bit, you know, don't put it where you want to use that particular piece of card, if you see what I mean. Don't know if I'm making sense here. Let's just clean up that before we move anything, and then we'll pull this away. It does dry reasonably quickly, so you don't want to mess about and leave it on your stencil for too long. I'm just going to pop that into some water. Normally I would probably try and take away the excess, but while it's wet we can actually add things to it. So you could actually sprinkle some of the pigment powder over the top, and it will kind of settle into it and spread slightly. You can actually put glitter on the top, which is what we're going to do. Most of the time I do use the rainbow sparkles, which is the ultrafine glitter. Oh, that's not that one. This is a lavender meadow, but you know, the ultrafine glitter, I'd put that on the top. It's interesting actually, because lavender meadow, although it is lavender in the pot, if you put it onto something that's on black card, you lose the lavender and you just get the interference, which is quite interesting. We're going to put a chunky glitter on here though. We're going to put the Crystal Aurora on, which is like little round discs of colour with a bit of interference with them. Let's grab a piece of paper. We can catch it in. And then let's get another one. Piece of clean paper. And then you set it aside to dry. You will get some shedding because obviously the glitter isn't encapsulated, it's actually sprinkled on top, but it is quite a nice effect to do, and it just adds more interest when we do our resist technique on top. Trying to hold it so that I don't stick my fingers in it. It looks a bit golden as it's coming out in the light in here because it's late afternoon at the moment. Give it a flick so it goes everywhere, and you can see there that it's just grabbed the areas that we've got the stencil. So I'm going to put that to one side, hopefully where I don't put my fingers in it. Let's put it over there and tidy up the glitter. So that's how we can create one of our resist pieces. It's still a resist if you don't put the glitter on, and we are going to use one of those as well, but I just wanted to show you kind of what you can do with that. So that's that. So when it's dry, I'll just toss something on the floor. Oh, I don't know. Right, so when it's dry, this is obviously on white. I don't know why I picked black before. I've no idea. Oh, I know, because the colours pop on black a bit more. Yeah, this is on actually on the super smooth watercolour card. So yeah, so that's nice and dry now. So that's going to be a resist. I've also got another one. I've got one that I haven't added the texture paste to, the glitter to, is just the texture paste. And you see when it dries it's nice and glossy, but it's just slightly raised. And this is the new Leafy Cascade stencil, which I still have in stock as well. So those are the two that we're going to work on. But what we want to do is not have loads of glitter all over the place. And I'm going to grab a palette. And I'm going to work in one of these because I want a slightly bigger well than the one that I'm using, which is here. I want a little bit more to play with. So I know how messy I am. So I'm going to work in one of these. So let's get some colour in there. Grab a paintbrush. And so these are all your colours currently in the I can't remember the name of it, sorry, Radiant Lustre Pigment Powder. It's such a mouthful, there's so many words there. So there are all your colours currently, and what we can do is actually, to start us off, we can actually mist into the palette. So we've got something, it's going to help us with our mixing. I do want it quite runny, so I'm just adding quite a bit of water into the wells. I don't know how many I need, but we might as well go all the way around. I think there's 10 here. Okay. Right, so let's grab our first colour. So this is making the pigment powder into a paint. So decisions. Let's go for we are on metallics. Let's go for New Gold, and I keep mine upside down so I can see what colours they are. This will probably poof now. Oh, it hasn't. It's got quite a lot in it. So just pick some up and mix it in. See what I'm doing? So we've got a nice paint going on there. That's pretty good actually. I think I'm going to try and use different paint brushes for the different colours. I could be a while. So let's go for this one. This is Enchanted Wisteria. A lovely purple. good old dollop of that. You can see I'm using quite a bit because I know that I'm going to need quite a bit, and I want it quite runny. Obviously, the more water you add, the runny it's going to be, and the lighter it's going to be. Let's go with that. And then I think what we'll do is bring in decisions. This is a difficult thing when you're faced with them all, is what colours to use. I don't want it to be mud, so will it be mud? I don't know. Let's go for this one. This is Seafoam. Oh, that's definitely near the top. Let's grab another brush, another big brush. My brushes aren't brilliant at all. Need somebody to give me some big brushes, some nice brushes. Put Seafoam in there. That seems to have a bit of a gold tinge to it as well, so that should fit in nicely. Okay. So we've got 3 little colours there. Let's just go with the 3. Let's not overdo it. Go for these 3 on here. Move that off a bit. So I'm going to, just away from that, I'm going to mist this with water so that it's already damp. And then the powder or the paint that I've created should move around quite nicely. You can see it's quite wet. So now we can take some of our pigment powder and add some of that in here. Obviously we're picking up a little bit of the glitter and moving a little bit of the glitter around. Oh, let's put it there. And let's add some of the Enchanted Wisteria. They'll all merge in a minute because I'll mist it with water again and they'll merge. Remember, this is a background. You don't have to get too stressed about it. And then a little bit of the Seafoam. Now I can leave, don't forget that as this is a watercolour, because I've added water to it, we can actually leave this to set down if there's any left, and so we don't need to waste it. So don't think, oh gosh, you put loads in there and she's just going to wash it out and waste it. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it if I don't use it all now. Let's add a little bit more gold. See, I've used quite a lot because it's quite a big area. It's an A5 piece, so it's quite a big area that we've used. Now I'm merging colours a little bit. So I've used all that gold. Let's move that slightly out of the way. Give this a mist. And it should move around a little bit. So now I'm really watering it down. So you can throw as much water at this card as you want to. It's a really good card. A little bit more of the purple. I like this Enchanted Wisteria. It's interesting, isn't it? It's actually clung to where the glitter is more than where the gaps are. So stop there, Julia, walk away. I'm just going to put that in there for a minute. Put that to one side for a second. Tidy up, and then I'll get, I mean, obviously this has got to dry now, so you could force feed it. You could force it dry with a heat tool, but actually mica products are best if you leave them to dry normally. Look at my hand, look at that, like Goldfinger, isn't it? So let's just grab a frame. Should have one here somewhere. Obviously I'm not going to put this on there because it's still wet, but if you pop a frame around that, I'm in the right place, then I think that's going to make a really nice interesting background. Obviously we could go in there and we could make it darker because I've found a lot of water at that, so the butterflies pop, which is quite nice. Okay, so that's that one. Let's see if I can do a better job with the next one. Let's see, let's put this to dry. And we'll go on to the one that's just got the texture medium on it, and it's on black. So that's this one. There is a little bit glitter flying around because glitter gets everywhere, doesn't it? Which is annoying because I don't actually want glitter on this one. And it is separate. It's not been included when I put it down. The glitter gets everywhere. So let's go to our palette again. And we'll pick some other colours. Let's take the Orchid Whisper, which is a lovely dark pink. Pop some of that in there. Do make sure that it's nice and mixed. And put the lid on. Let's grab this one. This is olive, which will be quite gold on the black card actually, which is quite interesting. It's a beautiful colour though. One of my favourites. Quite a lot of water in there, so we mix quite a lot of this one. Don't go, you know, hell for leather with it because you'll send the powder all over the place. Take your time. I didn't know until this week that different colours of mica are way different. So if say like with the distress embossing glaze, you'll find that if you've got Kitsch Flamingo, there's less in your pot volume wise than there is in say Broken China, because the mica that's in Kitsch Flamingo is has it got mica in it? Yeah, I'm sure that's what they told me. Anyway, that's why there's less in the Kitsch Flamingo embossing glaze. It's a transparent one, so there's not mica in that, is there? I don't know. Anyway, right, so there's two colours. Let's have a third one like we did on the other one. Let's see if I can find a better brush than that one, because that brush is really rubbish. Got a wide, oh, that one's a bit softer, I think. It's the same type, but it's a bit softer. So let's go for this teal one. This isn't actually teal. This is Lagoon Pool, which is rather pretty. Let's mix this one in here. I remember I always used to go just into my pot with I mean, you don't want it dripping with water, but you know, I was always worried about going into my pot with a wet brush, but Kay from Indigo Blue said, don't worry, it's fine. So I'll do what she says. So once again, we're going to mist this with water. Remember, this is the watercolour card. In fact, I can hold it there because that's where my stencil stopped. And let's start at the top with this one actually. And let's have it running down. Can you see as it's running down the where it's so it's resisting? That's quite interesting, isn't it? Let's have a different colour now. Let's have the olive at the top. Have that running down. And let's have the Orchid Whisper up here. This card is very absorbent, so it does dry quite quickly, so you might find that you have to kind of re-wet it to get it going again. You see it's moving down. You're getting some drips going, which is quite interesting. So I think I'm going to turn it up the other way as well. Oh, look, that's gone that way. I didn't want that to do. Doesn't matter. It's doing what it wants to. It's doing what it does. So we're having that go up there. I'm keeping with the lines here. I'm being very kind of organised. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Space is a problem. I've had a bit of olive go into my pink there. Let's just get that going. So we're not going to appreciate what's happening with this fully until this is dry. Let's go part way down. Let's just add some in there. And add some of the olive in there. And add some of the legume pool in there, like that. And again, give it a mist so it moves. There we go. You see where we're going? So it's working its way around where the texture medium is. We're getting the right mix of colours down the bottom with our drips, which of course you can pick up onto your scrap pieces of card. So once again, that's the background that's going to give you once you put your frame on, wherever my frame is. Here's my frame. Don't let you watch, I'll get really dirty and that'll really bug me. So you can pop a frame around that'd be really lovely, won't it? Can you see? Obviously that's got to dry, so I can photograph that at the end when it's all dry. That's two. Okay. And then we're going to do a similar thing. So if texture medium isn't your bag, you don't like it, or you're impatient and you don't want to wait for your texture medium to dry, you can also get a resist technique going with your embossing powder. So I'm not sure what this, oh, this is just Elegant Ebony card, because I think when I did this I didn't have any of the watercolour card at the time. Do be careful with the watercolour card because it is so absorbent. You've got to really have a very good juicy ink pad before you actually stamp, if you want to stamp and emboss, because sometimes it dries quicker than you can get the embossing powder on. So this is Elegant Ebony, and this has got, I don't know if you can see, it's got the Cogs vintage journal big background on it, and so we can create a resist with this as well. So again, this won't take as much water, but it's still very good quality cardstock. It's 270 GSM, so we can go again. Let's just use some of the colours that we've got left here. We can add. Can you see it's resisting? It's bouncing off. So we can add some of our legume pool, like so. And we can add some of our, let's have this one first. Let's have some of our Orchid Whisper. You can see it bouncing off, and that's what happens. It bounces off. It will just sit there in pools on top of your embossing powder. So, you know, you can kind of brush that off afterwards, buff it up when it's dry. And then this is the olive. So we'll add some olive in the corner here. And we'll add some up here. Quite gold on black card. I'm just checking you can see. Let's have some running down the middle. So what I would probably do with that is I can see that I've got the whole area covered in something. So what I would do with that now is leave it to dry naturally, or as near as damn it, and then I'd just gently buff up, because if I take it away now, what we'll do is we'll lose the mica that's in the gaps, and I don't want to do that because mica raises to the surface. So if you block that off now, all you'll lose is that lovely shine, and you don't want to do that. So again, I would leave that to dry naturally, and we could bring in our frame, and that will sit on the top. Obviously, you know, you can't tell very much at the moment because it's all wet. All three of the backgrounds are all wet, but when they're dry, I'll pop on again, and I'll show you what they look like when they're dry. Okay, so I will be back in a little while. Okay, so my backgrounds have been left to dry overnight, and this is how they've turned out. So you can see this is the one on watercolour card, and with the resist going on with the texture medium and the crystal aurora over the top. So you've got I think we used Seafoam and New Gold and Lilac Bouquet, I think it was. No, Enchanted Wisteria, I think. One or the other. Anyway, you can see at the beginning of the video. So that's all lovely. I do also have, this one's dried overnight, the one I did on black card, and it's interesting because the crystal aurora glitter has like a gold hue on the black card, whereas things the ultrafine rainbow crystals, the interference is black, is green on black cards. So that's quite interesting. So those are they. So if we were to kind of do something with this, what we could do is just, I mean, obviously we're not trimming anything down. I will make a card at some point. So we could bring in a frame. So we've got our torn stitched ovals here. And this is one of the Moroccan A6 dies that it's got paint on it because I was using it on the jelly plate. But you can see if you can add this to your background to add a little bit of texture if you want to, and then if you bring in your oval, then you've got some interest going on, and you could have your sentiment in the middle. So that's a couple of ideas with that one. Then we've got move that one out of the way. Then we've got the second one that we did, which is lots of glitter. We've got the resist going on with just the texture medium on black card through the leafy cascade, leafy cascade stencil, and we've got orchid whisper, we've got olive here, and we did the lagoon pool. That bit of glitter will come off in a minute. And so you can see that it's like channeled. I don't know if you can see, it's channeled down. The mica, the lustre pigment has channeled down through where the card is, and where it's higher, we've not got it. I did go through with a little bit of water just to clean up the raised bits because I wanted them to stand out more. So again, if we brought in a frame on this, we could perhaps go for the circle, which would be rather lovely. Obviously you'd be chopping off those sides there, and again we could bring in perhaps go for a white one of the beautiful new A6 background. So we could perhaps bring in some of that and put some more on the other side. This is the mesh A6, and again bring in a sentiment. So again, I will try and do another video where we make a card with that. And then finally, this is the cogs and gears big background. So this is just on the Elegant Ebony card, not the watercolour card, and it did bend a little bit, but I popped it underneath a piece of MDF that I have underneath my mat, and it's flattened out. So you can see when I move that around, you've got you can see the resist from the clear embossing powder on the black card. And then we've got, again, the same three colours as we had on the previous one. We've got the Orchid Whisper, we've got the New Gold running here, and we've also got the Lagoon Pool here. I've just noticed I missed a little bit there. Well, obviously you can put your frame around and your flowers to hide that, but there's nothing stopping you going in with a little bit more of the Lustre pigment and filling in the gaps afterwards if you want to. So again, if we were to bring in a frame, here's your torn stitched rectangles. Again, we could bring in some of the dies, perhaps have some down here, and you know, and a little bit up there. So, you know, mix and match a little bit. We could even have something totally different, bring in the mesh coming in on the side, perhaps. That's quite nice. I quite like the torn mesh on that side. So, and then a sentiment. So again, I'll try and do a video that includes all of these. So there you go. There's the 3 backgrounds, all nice and dry. And as I said, you can find the products on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. And I think everything's in stock at the moment. Thank you very much for watching. Do watch out for other videos using the Flawless Media collection. I will be adding to them as soon as I can. And please like and comment if you've got time, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for joining me. Bye.